Hi, I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Kaylee, and this is
Shoot the Vows. And today we have Sahra and Bill. They're actually past bride and groom of ours. We did photo.
I love them so much.
Yeah, we did photo and photo booth with you guys,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And this is just this past August. So I thought it would be really cool to have you on the podcast and talk from a bride's perspective and a groom's perspective about like the planning process and then the actual wedding day. So Sahra, you seem to be really on point with like everything leading up to the wedding though.
Yes. I had a binder this big.
Wow.
Very important to have a binder this big when you're also buying a house, selling 2 houses, and working full time.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
You were selling 2 houses and buying a house during
All
that?
getting married?
Yeah.
I would have never guessed. You were so like on top of
Yeah,
things.
it was a lot. So a binder was very important.
Yeah, we bought a house last year and I can't imagine planning a wedding while doing that. I would have jumped
ship
from a tall surface.
Yeah.
It was a lot of lunch break phone calls and video calls and researching online, and
Yeah.
it was just craziness. But it worked out because the wedding was great.
And you did a lot of research too, because I
Yeah.
remember you telling me you looked at like 8 photographers before even like reaching out.
Yeah, so I went to school for art photography with my major being in photography. So that was huge for us. That was something we wanted to spend the most amount of money on because that was important. That's what you're going to look at.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to
Years
have that for
later.
years to come. I mean,
Yeah, so when
why
I
not
saw
spend the
you,
money?
had to have you.
Yeah.
Oh,
And y'all's wedding was beautiful. So I know personally I was there for y'all's engagement and I was there for some of the wedding and it was just so beautiful. Everything. Y'all's engagement is just so touching and tender. And then you have the wedding, which is so beautiful and very thought out and detailed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was awesome. And then all of your vendors were so on point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell you definitely did your research when looking into the vendors.
Absolutely did. I looked at all the reviews. You have to, because otherwise you're not going to hear a real life personal experience.
Mhm.
You can't just look at the type of work they have. You have to see what other people have to say.
For sure.
That was huge.
And then you also got a coordinator and that was kind of last minute, right?
Yeah, so I had planned everything for months by myself. I was getting his input a lot
Yeah.
where needed.
Yeah, I was there.
It's his wedding too. And it was, I think, 2 weeks before the wedding. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to be okay anymore because we hadn't seen the venue since January. Our wedding's in August. And we weren't really sure what we're doing because we've never had a big wedding like this before. So then I went on and researched coordinators and found Heather, who you guys had on the podcast. She's amazing. Could not have done it without her. She was there, rehearsal, making sure she knew exactly what we're supposed to be doing because we're blacking out during the whole thing because we're like, this is crazy. And it's just so much movement. And remembering, like, you have to do this and this and this. So it was huge to have a coordinator. I recommend from the beginning to have a coordinator, especially if you're not. Thankfully, I'm organized.
Mm-hmm.
But if I wasn't, I should have hired her from the beginning.
Wow. So she really stepped in then for 2 weeks before the wedding.
She did. And she was reaching out to all my vendors in that 2 weeks to make sure they knew where they had to go and what time. And
How convenient for you because then you got to
huge.
relax for the first 2 weeks before the big day.
Exactly. And then she was there when we brought all of our decor and everything to the rehearsal right before that. So then she helped to actually organize that and made sure beforehand she had a list of where do you want this? Where do you want this? So she knew ahead of time. It was huge.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember hearing from her like a week or two before the wedding and her saying like, hey, I'm the coordinator for Sahra. And I always get a little nervous because like planners and coordinators like can go one of 2 ways. They can either be really helpful or they can almost get in your way. And I was like, oh, okay. Because she was like, you know, when do you want the flowers there? Like, when do you want this there? The detail shots. And I'm pretty go with the flow. Is surprisingly for as type A as I am.
Saying, okay?
I'm pretty type A, but I'm also like, this is your wedding, so whatever. You know, and I was like, whenever the flowers get there, like I can work with them. Like I'm not gonna make the florist go out of her way to like come an hour or two early. And then, but Heather like made it happen.
Well, but most people do. Like you will be surprised as a florist before I did this, like how many people say I need my flowers to be there before 11 a.m. because my photographer's showing up at 11 and needs them. Like, so it's a big like common thing for the photographer or for people to base their flowers and timelines off of the photographer.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it was nice to have them from the very beginning, but I usually do everything else and then kind of add them in as they come so that I don't want to
put pressure on anybody that doesn't need it.
Yeah.
The day's already stressful enough for everybody involved.
I don't want to ruin your day over like an hour of just for some convenience, you know. But it was really nice that Heather like was able to coordinate all that, and she really did do a good job. She was very thorough but very like kind and compassionate about it. She wasn't bossy, none of that, but she definitely had everything wrapped up really nicely. So.
She did. That was a huge thing too, is she wasn't pushy about anything. And it was very much, how do we want it?
She knows it's y'all's day.
Yeah.
And that's the best part.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I had talked to a few others before we actually hired her, and they were more on their time. Whereas Heather wanted to be on our time. And that was really...
Can't beat it.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. I think that being on the coordinator's time works out if you are a couple, and I've had couples that are like, I don't care, like I just want to get married, I don't really care what happens during my wedding, and like I don't know if that could be me, God bless them, but I have had couples that are like, I really just whatever, take care of it, and so they might be the coordinator for them because they're just going to take the initiative and handle all of that, whereas somebody like you have
it planned out.
Yeah, you have an idea of how you want things to go, so somebody else stepping in and kind of like having a different idea might not be the best situation there. Makes sense.
Exactly.
And then you guys had your dogs.
We did it. We had to have our dogs in the wedding.
Yeah.
This one especially would not get married if the dogs weren't there.
Yeah. I'd put my foot down. Yep.
So we brought Lila onto the podcast because she's such a good girl and she's just hanging out with us.
Yep.
She's so well behaved.
So yeah, but you guys had Lila and Liam, right?
We did, yeah. We had to medicate him heavily so that he would behave and actually walk down the aisle without going zigzaggy or peeing on everything.
Definitely the best ring bearer ever, though.
Yeah, he was.
He was a good boy.
They were so cute.
We can drop pictures too in the video.
Right here.
If you're
Yes, please.
If you're watching the podcast and not listening, then you can see the photos. But yeah, they were amazing. They did so good. And so I think that a lot of couples nowadays, I mean, they're asking me to incorporate their dogs in their engagement sessions. And then a lot of people are incorporating their dogs into their weddings in a lot of different ways. I had a couple with a 3-legged dog that he was the ring bearer, and they kind of just unleashed him and he ran
Let him go.
to the front of the aisle. And I had to be really quick with those photos because for 3 legs, that boy moved. But there's so many different ways to like kind of welcome your pet into your wedding day. And so what were some considerations you guys had to take with that?
So we had to narrow down our venue list by a lot. A lot of people don't allow dogs. So we ended up going 45 minutes out of where we live so we could find it because we had to have them. And another non-traditional thing that we did do is we didn't have a huge wedding party.
Yeah.
They were in our wedding party. So she was our flower girl, Miss Lila. Liam was our ring bearer.
Yep.
Whereas normally, you know, they have some family members or somebody's
Little
kids doing
ones,
that. But that was
the dogs.
Oh, yeah. Had the little collar thing with the rings in it. It was perfect.
Yeah. And then our florist actually made a flower necklace bouquet to match my wedding bouquet.
I did get that, yeah.
So
that was so adorable.
Yeah, we really spoiled that. We had to. They're our family.
They got a match.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you probably have to consider things like making sure that the rings are very secure and they're not going to fall off somewhere along the way.
Absolutely.
Well, he was medicated, so it's okay.
And then also like lodgings. So you guys stayed on the property of the venue?
They had cabins available.
Okay. So the dogs just kind of stayed there. And then you probably like appointed somebody like after the ceremony to like escort the pups back while you guys like, returned to the wedding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. His sister was huge. She was like the ringleader of the dogs for most of the rehearsal and the wedding. So we were lucky to have her and trusted her because we want someone we could trust too. We didn't want to just have anybody with our babies. So
there are services actually that you can hire too that will do it. that will like if your dogs like even need to go home after, they'll like come and they'll like bring them home after, or they'll like watch them during the reception, or they'll do there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's also a friend of mine got married and we went there and they had an adoption agency bring like 6 or 7 puppies, and they just had like in the cocktail hour area like this pen with puppies, and you could just go and like cuddle with a puppy while you were like drinking and having like some hors d'oeuvres.
You're waiting
That's
for the
awesome.
bride and groom.
I wish we did that.
Yeah. And I feel like it's a win-win because it's like fun for the guests, but also it increases the dog's chances of getting adopted.
Yeah,
So it's
Yeah.
good for
definitely.
the adoption shelters and the breeders or whoever's doing that.
That's amazing. I had
Yeah.
no idea that was a
Me
thing.
neither.
Yeah.
I love that though.
I would be
Yeah,
bringing
yeah.
dogs and cats.
Right?
Yeah,
All
little-
the animals.
All of them.
Little
Bring the
kittens.
zoos.
Yeah. They also, I mean, there's also places you can get married where there's like borderline like petting zoos where there's like miniature horses.
Well, our
and,
last guest, that was the horse farm where they had
Yeah.
the beer donkey and you can ride the horse down the aisle. So I mean, it's more common than you think.
yeah, there's one where they bring out a llama on a leash and then everybody can like pet the llama.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, I mean, I was always a huge fan of animals. So like incorporating them into a wedding day. I mean, some people it's not their thing, right? Like they don't want kids at the wedding. Maybe they don't want animals at the wedding. But
I'd take animals over kids any day.
Yeah.
Okay.
1,000,000%.
Kids were not allowed at our wedding.
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah.
And then not everything. I mean, pretty much your day was virtually perfect, but
It was.
not everything went perfectly. We had a couple of hiccups, right?
Yeah.
So like, why don't you tell us about the little incident we had?
Perfect timing.
So it was about, I want to say, an hour before I was about to get my hair and makeup done. Everybody else was already almost good to go in my wedding party. And I went outside to just have a little moment with my mom, and just, it was a nice, sweet moment. And I came inside with a wasp actually, attached to my hair, and it stung me in the cheek. And thankfully, you like pushed me very aggressively to get the wasp off of me. You were like the superhero of the day. And right away, my coordinator, Heather, was on it. She's like, I'm going to get ice. She got ice from the venue
Like
lady.
the bar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was like an ice pack from where our wine was kept or whatever. And then my maid of honor, my best friend, brought me Benadryl from my pack that I had brought. Didn't bring my EpiPen. Should have brought my EpiPen. Didn't do that. But thankfully, my makeup artist, she was able to just mask, because you could see.
Well, you
Where the
texted
hole
me
in
you
my
got
cheek
stung in the
was.
face by a wasp, and I looked at my friends that I was hanging out with before the ceremony. I was like, of course she did. Why wouldn't she?
It wouldn't have been our wedding if something bad didn't happen to me.
So I
But-
just started laughing. I was like, it is what it is at this point. But the makeup artist,
Kaylee.
she's magic.
Yeah, she was
couldn't
actually
even
on the
tell at all.
podcast too. All of your vendors were on my
Yeah.
podcast.
Kaylee Stein represents. She's great. Really covered up that wasp sting, and she put like a special cream on it
Yeah.
so that it would stay
Like,
not red and
swollen.
not swollen. And thankfully, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think in any of the pictures you could see it.
Nobody could tell.
I showed up later in the day and I had no idea. So
Yeah.
great job covering that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it hurt real bad. It felt like a knife being shoved into my cheek.
Oh,
But thankfully, I was able to put that away for the first look that we did, because I did not want to be thinking about that. The pain went away really quickly, and it didn't actually swell until the next day.
Yeah.
So I was lucky.
Yeah. But then you said, I didn't find this out until like a month ago, that like a couple days later you went to the hospital.
I did. I ended up in the hospital. I'm not even supposedly allergic to wasps, but my whole face was like, it was maybe like a golf size welt on my face, maybe bigger. And then my whole chest started getting red. I couldn't breathe. And I walked down to Bill and I'm like, look at me. And he's like, hospital. I was like,
She
yep.
said, yep. I was like, okay, get in the truck.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Hospital.
very delayed reaction, which I'm very thankful for, because our wedding was flawless. Besides
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Well, I'm thankful for that. And then I'm also thankful that you weren't like out of the country
Mhm.
in a
Yeah.
place where maybe you're on a cruise ship or something and
Oh.
you're like, well, I hope they have good medical care. You know what I mean?
I hope there's not a wasp in the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy.
crazy.
And I'm not even allergic to them, but goes to show if you have an EpiPen, bring your EpiPen because maybe this time you're going to be allergic.
Yeah. And I've talked about this on other episodes too. If you're having a garden wedding, you need to consider that there's going to be bees. If you're having a winter wedding, you need to consider bringing a shawl, or like you have to think about like where you're getting married and
What
the things
time of year.
and preparing for it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Bug spray in the summer and EpiPen if you're allergic to anything. I
Yeah.
mean, because you never know. I mean, maybe the caterer didn't tell you that they put something in the food and
Yeah.
Yeah,
Accidents happen.
yeah, that's scary. So I'm glad that that worked out.
me too. It sucked, but we got through it.
Yeah.
Something that I really did not want when we were planning the wedding is I did not want to do a first look. I was very adamant that I didn't want him to see me until I walked down the aisle, but you convinced me
I did.
maybe it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It's almost more common to do the first looks now rather than not. And I think out of all the brides we talked to at the last expo we were at, only one said they were going to do traditional and not do a first look.
Wow.
Out of all the brides we talked to.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people are wanting to spend time with their guests later on and enjoy their cocktail hour and like talk to people they haven't seen, and they want to get the photos done before the ceremony. They're doing like earlier timelines. So I think that's kind of what's going on now, is like people want to do the first look not only for that moment, but also to kind of like change the timeline around for the day.
Mhm.
Well, y'all get to enjoy your cocktail hour if y'all get to do the portraits and everything before the ceremony. So, I mean, it almost has a benefit to it as well as just being different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we did a lot of your portraits later on in the evening, I think, because we wanted the sunset.
Mhm.
We did some earlier and then we did some later, but we did do all your family portraits before the ceremony, right?
Yeah.
Yep, we did. Yeah, because we
The-
wanted to get that, like you said, so we could do the cocktail hour and enjoy more of the wedding
Mm-hmm.
and get that not over with, but
Yeah.
you know,
The hard
get
part
through
out of the
it.
way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like doing everything before the ceremony too, because then it's all in the beginning of the day, and then after the ceremony, I'm like, "Phew, hard part's over."
Yeah.
Everybody gets to relax.
Yeah.
No, the best part about their first look was the fact that your best man pretended to be your bride.
Oh,
Wearing a
yeah,
dress.
Yeah.
We can put pictures of that in if you want to see it.
You do.
if
it's
you
fun.
want to.
You were like genuinely upset too at first.
Yeah, I was just patiently waiting for my soon-to-be bride to show up, and I turn around and it's this big hairy dude in a dress. And, yeah, it took me by surprise and gave me a big old sweaty hug, and yeah, so that's a good way to start everything. But no, I wouldn't change it. It was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
but,
I like that Dan was like hyping you up too, because he was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, she looks so beautiful."
Yeah,
I was like, "Dan, you did him dirty."
I
we
turn
didn't
around
know
and
that.
she has facial hair, so
Yeah, Dan told us that yesterday after the expo. He was like, yeah, I was hyping him up, telling him how beautiful she was and everything. And then boom.
yeah. Then yeah, it was quite the surprise. And then you were a little bummed out because then when you showed up, it was a little bit of a lackluster reaction. You're like, oh, she's here now. Like,
Yeah, I looked back at all the pictures that you had taken of our first look, and he was much less smiley because he had it all for his friend.
yeah.
And I was like, why weren't you excited? He's like, I didn't even think it was going to be you that time.
Another prank.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
But it turned out great. We had a good time with it.
Yeah.
And it's a good memory for him because, again, the wedding's about both of us. It's not just the bride.
Yeah.
So that was something he can take away. That was like his moment with his
Mhm.
friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys had
Yeah.
some great friends that were there.
Oh, thank you.
It was a fun time.
Yeah,
Y'all
good
had a
people.
fun party crowd for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
kept it small. That's a lot of the reason. Everybody was close to us. It
Mhm.
wasn't just like every coworker we have, every friend's mom and dad. It
Yeah,
was just close people.
I didn't invite anybody from work. I caught some flack later on. Like, oh, you got married? Where was my invite? I was like, I'm not inviting all you guys. You know, and then,
Sorry.
yeah, additionally, like people close to us, like if there's friends that we haven't talked to in years, I'm not gonna just out of the blue, hey, you want to show up? And
Right.
you know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
It's the same thing that we've said on other episodes before. If you wouldn't invite them to dinner, don't invite them to your wedding.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. So
For us, that was a big part of budget saving too, is just not inviting every person we thought of.
yeah,
It was very small,
Mhm.
55 people, I think. And
I love that.
I
yeah,
remember it being bigger. I remember it being like 80 or 90.
I think it's because we just had also the best vendors there just walking around.
Yeah. Everybody was having such a good time. It honestly looked like
Yeah.
a bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were all partying too. I made sure I was like, did you eat? Did you get something to drink?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted everybody to have a good time.
Yeah.
No, your dance floor was pretty packed for 55 people.
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah.
They had a great party crowd. Like,
Yeah.
these people knew how to party.
Yeah, it was great.
So if you could do anything differently, what would you do differently?
Something I did, this didn't involve him at all. I was trying to find a wedding dress and I was buying online a lot in the beginning, and you had to go through trying it on and returning it and reading the reviews. I would not do that again. I would just go straight to a bridal shop and try on dresses, because I wasted 3 months of trying to find a dress and spending money and shipping, and it was not worth it.
Yeah. So
Well, your
you went-
dress was gorgeous. So let's
Thank you.
listen.
It really was.
You ended up making the right choice.
Yeah, and then you ended up going to a bridal shop in the end.
I did, yeah, and it was a floor sample, so it was half off.
Oh, even better.
It was $600. You can't beat that.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
it was more expensive than these online dresses, but it wasn't worth it. The material is
Probably
just
more quality.
Higher
for sure.
quality for sure.
very much. And then it's easier to try on just a big selection and have your family there and have the bridal.
Yeah, have the
helper.
experience
Yeah.
too. Our last guest that we had on was a bridal gown shop owner.
And designer.
Yeah, and designer. She does everything. But she was talking about how it's not as expensive as you think. You can actually get a lot of discontinued dresses, and they're only discontinued because maybe they stopped making that lace, or they
fabric,
ran out
texture,
of
color.
yeah, maybe they ran out of buttons or something stupid. It's still a
Mhm.
beautiful dress, but it's like way less than it would be. They also do sales apparently in like December and stuff like that.
December, and I think she said July.
June or July, one of
Yeah,
the
something
two.
like that.
And I didn't know that. Like apparently every dress shop does like a December sale. There's like a thing. And there's like a program.
They're basically
wow.
trying to like get rid of stock to make
Yeah.
room for new stock,
Yeah.
That
essentially.
makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I also did that. I also shopped online, and I don't really regret it. I actually had a good experience, but I'm not super picky. I'm not saying you are, but I
was a
got
little
it.
picky.
I didn't love it as much until it was tailored. The problem with buying it online is it needs to be like everything needs to be adjusted. So if you don't have a good seamstress that can literally, I had sleeves, they all had to be taken in. I had to get taken in from like top to bottom. So like when I first tried it on, I was like, I didn't really like it. And then when it fit me perfectly, I was like, oh, okay, But it definitely wasn't like as good of quality as you could tell. It was a $400 dress from like a.
See, but Sarah said hers was 600. And
I
I,
know,
would
that's
have
pretty
never
close.
guessed it. Like ever, ever, never.
That's true. That's
Like-
true. So that's why I do recommend people go to shops for that reason. But
And even if it is just for the first initial try on, because and then you can kind of see the style that you're leaning towards rather than I've thought I wanted lace my whole life and then I put lace on and I hated it. You know what
it's
I mean?
like really itchy or
Yeah, it
doesn't-
could be anything.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, because I went in with a very particular idea of what I wanted. I was like, I'm not getting strapless. I refuse. Ended up with a strapless dress because once you try them all on, you kind of see how it fits your shape and what's more comfortable. And then dress regret is huge after you buy the dress. I've seen on like Reddit and TikTok and everything. And that is huge. I regretted my dress. 3 months later, I was like, I shouldn't have bought this dress. But then once it was tailored, I was like, okay, love it again.
This is it. This
Because
is
it was like falling off my body, but it ended up being perfect. So
It's
It
hard
worked
it's hard to imagine what it's going to look like when it fits you perfectly, for sure. So what do you not regret? 100% like so glad that you did.
I am so glad we did the photo booth.
Yeah, the photo booth was a ton
It's
of fun.
still your
was
profile
huge.
picture on Instagram, isn't
Is
it?
I think it is. Yeah, the
And I
one
was
of
like,
us.
she didn't use any of the photos I took. She used
no,
the photo
everybody
booth one.
loves the photo booth.
I mean, my
Everybody.
Facebook one is one of the ones from the first look, actually.
Oh, yeah.
But I think you're right. The Instagram one.
Is your
It might
photo?
be.
I think he was like carrying you, and it's
Yeah.
like really fun and cute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good
because
one.
everyone had so much fun in that photo. They just kept going in and out of it. I had people who said, I'm leaving, but I have to get you in here first.
Yeah.
And then we actually had our guest book. So you could put the photos from that and have somebody write a message in the book. And we still look at that.
Oh,
We'll
yeah,
sit down
it's
and go through it
an
even
awesome
now.
Keepsake.
That's
After
cute.
the
Yeah,
fact,
I was
yeah.
before like everything was ready. I was sitting there on the book, like making sure all the little tabs were right, so everybody would be able to just put it in there, write it, and move on. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I would tell them after the picture, okay, put one in the book, and you can keep the other one.
Mhm.
I always
perfect.
tell people, like, tell the photo booth attendant, like, if you book a photo booth through me, obviously I'll tell them, but tell them to put the photos in the album because your guests are not going to think of it, or they just don't know. Nobody's going to tell them.
Well, it's the harder part was, I know we did one wedding where it was kind of it was before you guys, and that's how I knew I needed to do this. Because they were expecting me to put the photos in the booklet, and I was like, well, I don't know whose signature, whose name, who's who, like, how am I supposed to know? You know, I don't know these people.
Right.
So I kind of turned the idea to him, and I was like, what if I just let them do it? I direct them to where it's at, because it's just easier for everybody.
Yeah, definitely have the attendant tell the guests that it exists, because even if there's big signs with arrows pointing down to
They
it,
won't
they're
see
not
it.
Everybody's
they're going to be
drinking,
too drunk.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So photo booth, definitely. And then the coordinator, you don't regret hiring a I think the top 2 things that brides say that they regret.
I know it. They didn't get video and they didn't hire a coordinator. Every time we talk to a bride, those are the 2 things, one or the other, that they usually go for.
Mm-hmm.
That was something I didn't want to regret, is the video, because I saw everybody was like, I should have done that. So thankfully we did for our ceremony.
Yeah.
We got, and we still watch that sometimes too.
Yeah, I would say that with that, I don't know, there was a lot of drone footage, and like we kind of wanted more of like the actual ceremony happening, and it seemed like every 2 seconds it just cut back up to an overhead shot of just the top of everyone's head, and like we even reached out multiple times. We're like, hey, can we get some more of the actual ceremony happening instead of just of a broad view? It was a little bit of a hassle, but I mean, ultimately we pretty much got what we wanted. So I would definitely be clear about, if you do get video, definitely be very clear about what you want included in it
and what's important. That makes sense.
I know we talk to our bride and groom whenever, anytime they ask for video, and we, ask them, do you want just that, 1-2 minute highlight? Do you want that 4 to 8 minutes? Do you want the full documentary of the day?
Right.
Like they're very different packages, and we need to know what you want in order to capture what you need,
Yeah, and I think everyone has different expectations with video because the deliverables aren't always super clear. That's actually something I was on a call with a potential client yesterday morning, and we were talking about video, and they were asking me like, well, what's included? Because I don't know what any of this means. And it's like, wow, maybe I need to like change what my package verbiage is, because a lot of people don't know like what a 4 to 8 minute highlight video entails. Like, what is included in that? What am I going to see and what am I not going to see?
Right.
And, some people want the whole, they want like all the raw footage. I would never want that. I would never.
You don't want it.
I tell people, if it's going to be like a Lord of the Rings trilogy situation where you need to sit there and carve out a whole day for it, like you're probably never going to watch it.
No,
And so maybe it's nice to have like as a secondary thing, but
for like, anniversaries and stuff like that. But for the most part, you're not going to watch the full documentary of the day. For the most part, like, it's very rare that we have couples ask for that. Usually the highlight's good enough, because I know us personally, we get those tiny details as well as your faces, not just your heads, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
That was something our videographer, he did keep pushing, like, hey, do you want to get the whole day, upgrade your package? And we're like, the ceremony is the one thing
That's most
we
important.
can't watch it.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas the reception, it's just about having fun. You look back at the pictures. You got some videos of us like cutting the cake, like a very like 10-second. And that's all we needed.
Yeah.
We didn't need to spend tons of money because it wasn't something we really were going to look back on.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have the guest book, you have all your pictures, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, so I think that's a great like takeaway from that, is that like, even if you don't want to hire a videographer for the whole day, even if it's just a ceremony, or even if it's just the reception, if the ceremony is not that important, because some people only have 10-minute receptions and they're done, So I like that. I like that takeaway.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up what we were going to talk about today. Thank you so much, you guys. And congratulations again, because it's not even been a year yet. You're still relatively newlyweds.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, I have to ask, how's the married life?
That's great.
It's good.
Yeah.
It was the moving in that was hard, but
That was a pain.
Yeah, the moving. Well, how long after you got married did you move?
We moved, I think we were officially like in the house 2 months before our wedding.
Yeah.
Oh, so you moved before the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So I had like all broken fingernails for the wedding, but it is what it is.
The move was a pain, but yeah, now that we're settled, everything's great. It's
Everything's
awesome.
good now. I love just the boring days because
Mhm.
everything was just like go, go, go all the time. And now we can just put our sweatpants on and
Sit
be
back
lazy
and
a whole
relax.
day on a weekend. And it's amazing.
Yeah. My
Cuddle with the
favorite.
dog.
Yeah.
Cuddle with the dog. Well, congratulations on both parts.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Yeah, it was great
you.
talking to you guys.
as
I
well,
love
yeah.
hearing about y'all's day again and, get to relive it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in. As always, if you have,
Subscribe.
you're supposed to say that after.
Well, you usually say it, so start over. You gotta let me say something during this.
I'm going to let you say it at the end.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, if you have any comments, questions, or topic requests, drop them down in the comments section.
We'd love to feature it in the next video. Subscribe.